This week we're going to be talking about it's the last year. It's been a very interesting topic for most people, and it's been at the top of most discussions that everyone has said for literally, I guess, over a year now. And that, well, where are we? There we go. That is, are crowds needed? Are crowds needed in wrestling? Can a crowd make a match 5 stars? Are they even needed to make the match 5 stars? Can they make it? Are they needed for it? Are great matches thanks to the crowd or because of the match itself? Like, there's also those great matches we'll get into as well because of the crowd. Let's start off by saying I'm aware that a crowd can absolutely make a moment great. But what I want to discuss is if a crowd is actually needed to make a match great. There is no question that a crowd makes the day after WrestleMania Raw something special, and it has. Some will argue that it got a little stale the last couple of years, but without the crowd, it is just Raw. There is no doubt about that. That is just Raw because the crowd makes those moments. There is not a single 5-star match from those Raws after WrestleMania that we can think of. But we can tell you about that time that Sheamus and Orton stopped in the middle of the ring because the crowd was doing a wave. That's a moment made by the crowd, not a match made by the crowd. The crowd definitely made The Rock versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18. But even with that reaction, that match is not anywhere near great match territory. It is a great moment, not a great match. And that comes from someone who was there as part of that moment. We lived through that. And I can tell you that match wasn't great. That moment was great. And it's going to be one of the greatest moments of all time for myself. Ibushi versus Omega was never made great by a crowd, but was made great by the skills in the ring and the story told before and during that match. I don't remember the crowd making me love Samoa Joe versus Christopher Daniels versus AJ Styles at Unbreakable for the X Division title. Did I need the crowd to tell me to mark the F out when Elix Skipper walked across the steel cage like a tightrope? No. But that showed moments like matches also don't need a crowd to make them great. Moments like matches can be great on their own and don't require the crowd. Without that crowd, I would have still went, holy jeez, when Elix Skipper tightroped across and got the Frankensteiner on, I think it was Chris Harris or James Storm at the other side off the 6 sides of steel. We don't need a crowd to tell us how to feel. Remember the double turn of Bret Hart in Austin? It would have still been able to happen in today's environment without the crowd. The story was told in that ring and leading up to it. Bret Hart felt disrespected by the fans, and that could still happen today without the crowd. Twitter, anyone? You think Bret Hart would have gone off about how the fans keep tweeting him about, oh, you aren't the same, and why aren't you doing this? The fans are tweeting Diesel and giving him all these moments. It still would have happened. Like, why are they chanting for Austin? And we have to understand that some will say that without a crowd, you can't tell what stories and workers are getting over without that crowd reaction. You got to be able to use that crowd reaction and it'll build to those moments that make great matches. I say that you can still be doing that. You can still tell. It's being done right now through merch sales, through YouTube views, social media mentions, searches, and other ways that I would argue are more accurate than a crowd reaction in Vince McMahon's ears. Speaking of Vince McMahon, does he even listen to the reactions of the crowd before the pandemic? Let's not kid ourselves. Vince doesn't care about the crowd. He will tell the story he wants to tell. Some may also argue that the mystique of The Undertaker was seeing the emotion of those in the arena during his entrances. I would say that is very easy to do through television. People don't need a crowd's reaction to know the red wedding was a big deal in Game of Thrones. We didn't need a crowd to feel something when Al Swearingen put the Reverend out of his misery on Deadwood. One of the best features of the MASH DVDs is you can turn the laugh track off and make that show better by not being told what is funny and what is serious. You can feel that emotion through television with good storytelling. My final argument is, if a match is great without an audience, there is no doubting it is great. When you throw a crowd reaction in, it will create a bias telling you who you should care about and not who you actually want to deep down. Alright, so let us know below what was a moment you loved being part of as a crowd member, like how WrestleMania 18 was for me. Also, I would love to know what you think about the impact of the crowd on a match and why you either agree with us or why you think a crowd is needed. Let us know below. Share and let anyone else that you think might want to hear this and see what they have to say. I want to know. I'm not the only one, but I hope I've made a great argument here, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. So let me know down below.